This is Roland Leong, Managing Editor of Shotgun Report. We're doing a shot shell chronograph pattern and analysis. We're doing the Remington Gun Club low recoil, 12 gauge, 1100 feet per second, 1 1/8 ounce number eighths. We're firing them through a Beretta with a modified choke. We'll be chronographing them through a Oler 35P chronograph with the first screen set 4 feet from the muzzle. We'll be using Shotgun Analyzer software version 4.1.5 made by Target Telemetrics, running on a Windows 11 computer. Please click subscribe and like if you find this video worthwhile. This is the chronograph tape from the 5 shots that we took through the chronograph. The highest velocity of the 5 shots was 1148. The lowest was 1105. The extreme spread was 43 feet per second. The average of the 5 shots was 1126 feet per second. The standard deviation was 17 feet per second. These Remington Gun Club shells were a little bit erratic. There were clearly some visual defects on some of the exterior portions of some of the shells. Upon further examination of all of the shells, it could be observed that some of the shells had heavy impressions on the outside of the plastic casings. Some of these impressions were light and didn't appear to have any effect on the shells at all. But some were so deep as to appear to possibly weaken the plastic hulls, and there were occasionally some that were so deep as to actually penetrate the plastic hull through to the powder chamber, the internal powder chamber. I contacted Remington and advised them of this problem. Remington requested that I send the whole order back to them. I had purchased 10 cases. I attempted to ship the 9 cases that I had left, but there was a problem with shipping them back, and ultimately I hand sorted all the shells and ultimately returned 4 boxes of 25 shells to Remington, and they ultimately made good and returned to me 4 cases of 10 boxes of 25 shells each to me as in compensation. I have not fired any of those yet. I'm still working through the remainder of this lot that I kept. Most of them are firing without any issues. I occasionally get an odd sounding blooper, which appears that they may have a cocked wad, but externally they appear fine. Evidently there was a problem with this lot. I can't comment on any other lot at this point. I can only comment that Remington, if you have an issue, contact Remington. Remington has made good on any issues that I've had. I expect that any problems or any issues that you might have with any of their ammo, they will also make good on it. Going to the pattern analysis, this was the first pattern that we shot. One of the first things we should really look at is, this is a chart basically showing you the number of pellets that are in a number 8 ounce and an eighth shell with filled with number 8s, and you get 461 pellets in an ounce and an eighth number 8 shell. In a 1 ounce number 8 shell, you get 410 pellets on average. So going up to an ounce and an eighth, you get approximately 50 more pellets for for an additional 1/8 ounce. Looking at this pattern, I mean, you can really tell in this 20-inch circle how you have a tremendous pattern. There's no deficit in this 20-inch circle. I mean, there are no voids. So at 40 yards, you got tremendous pattern density. There's only this small little void here on this standard clay with a normal tilt. And at 25 inches, there's only these very small voids at 25 inches. We've kept this 25-inch kill zone analysis because that's what we've done in the past. And rather than confuse the issue, we've maintained this 25-inch kill zone analysis. But this 30 inches probably, at 40 yards, probably, in my mind, more realistic in the sense that when you're shooting at 40 yards and at targets, sporting targets further than 40 yards, you'd probably be, any shooter would probably be happy with a pattern that is a 30-inch pattern, projecting a 30-inch pattern at distance of 40 yards plus, if you understand my meaning. This is the second pattern. Again, in this 20-inch circle, only a very small area of void. And in the 25-inch circle, again, a very small area of a void for a standard clay target. Lots of pellets, 411 pellets hitting the target. The number of pellets that hit the target are obviously dependent on the ability of the person shooting the pattern to get it on paper. I mean, that's obvious. If the shooter is going to be way off on the target, the program is obviously not going to be able to count any of those pellets that are off target. So if the shooter happens to shoot a pattern that's way off the paper, I mean, you're just simply not going to, it's not going to register very well any type of pattern analysis. But here again, there's great density in this 20-inch circle. Any target any pattern target that you shoot with able to put in this 20-inch pattern is pretty much going to get smashed. Here's the third target. You see I was a little off, the shooter was a little bit off center with this, but again in this 20-inch circle, really good. There's one little defect here, but still, a great pellet density in this 20-inch pattern. Going after this 25-inch pattern, a little bit of, some voids here showing up. Going on to this fourth pattern, this, again, this 20-inch circle, plenty of pellet density here, as you can see in this pellet density of 6.62, great pellet density, 10-inch 6.79. Targets are going to break when you put this pattern on target. Out to 25 starts getting a little bit fringy here in the pattern, but chances are you're going to be breaking a target. Anywhere over here, you're going to be breaking a target. Last pattern, you can see here I was the shooter was a little bit low, and things started breaking apart. The pattern started getting a little bit sketchy here, where we started getting some voids here and here. I have a feeling if this pattern were a little bit higher, we wouldn't have the voids here, but still, nice pattern, nice pattern. Now the discussion probably can go to, well, your feet per second and 1100 feet per second versus a normal 1 ounce load, 1145 feet per second. What are you giving up? I can say that the felt recoil on this load was about the same or less than a 1 ounce 1145 feet per second load. And having those extra pellets after 40, 45, I think is a good trade-off. Same recoil, more pellets, I think is a good trade-off. I personally can use every pellet I can get. I think there are a lot of people, a lot of shooters who feel the same way. At further distances, I don't know whether the energy of the pellets would start to fall off to the extent where you might get pellet hits but not target breakage, where a shell with greater velocity, when I say greater velocity, with slightly more velocity, say 1145, with less pellets, and the same felt recoil, would do better at greater distances. That's the trade-off. I think at greater distances, I might want to go up a pellet size to 7.5s, and the trade-off there would probably be having less pellet density in the patterns. Again, this is all a trade-off. This is, of course, the most important thing of all is the shooter being able to put the pattern on target. All of this other stuff is probably relatively minor. If the shooter can't put the pattern on the target, all else really doesn't matter that much. Thanks for viewing. Please check the like and subscribe if you found this at all helpful.